Hello everybody, Mannix here. Just going to do a quick little knife review of a part of knife history, the Opinel. This happens to be number 9, and in the carbon steel, or it says carbone or carbone, however you pronounce that. That's how you know it has carbon steel. They do sell these with the stainless steel, but this is the one I got about a decade ago. I didn't use it very much, and there's 2 ways I can attack this review. One, we can go with the fact that it's a traditional part of folding knife history, the subjectivity to it, the coolness factor of it being, again, so historical. The other way I can attack this review is objectively use and or carry this thing, or any of the Opinels in general. But let's first just get the specs out of the way, as always. So if you're not familiar, the number 9 you're seeing right there refers to this knife's size. They start at number 2 and they go all the way up to 13. 2 is essentially a keychain knife and 13's like a novelty giant folder. Might make a good addition to the XL folder collection. On the 9, the blade length is 3.51 inches. The overall length is 8.18 inches, meaning the handle length is 4.67 inches. The blade steel is XC90 carbon steel. There is no chromium content in this steel, making it a carbon steel. Very, very affordable. This knife retails, I want to say $20. You can get these for around 19 bucks these days. I got this for, I want to say around 9 bucks. Again, around maybe 2012. So they've gone a little bit up there in price. Still very, very affordable knife. But this blade steel is very simple, gets very sharp, dulls relatively quickly, but you can get it sharp again relatively quickly as well. Really the main disadvantage to it, as well as most carbon steels in general, is the fact that they corrode and rust very, very easily. That's one of the main uses of having chromium content in your steel, is to aid in corrosion and rust resistance. However, if we just ditch the chromium entirely, now we're just left with sheer sharpness and edge retention. So there's some advantages to it, but again, you don't see it very often. It just patinas so quickly. I think it's beautiful in its own right. I didn't have this for very long when I saw this patina form, maybe about, I don't know, 2 years, and I barely even used it. But a lot of this you're seeing right here is just patina and surface rust. Let's check the weight on this guy. 2.12 ounces. Hot damn. Check that again, just make sure I'm consistent here. 2.11, it's teetering back and forth. Let's say 2.115, just a hair above 2 ounces. That is extremely, extremely impressive if we're just looking at cutting edge length to weight. Featherweight light because of this handle right here, which happens to be in the beechwood finish, they call it. These come in, I believe, 4 total finishes as I'm filming this, mid-late 2023. But this is the most normal, traditional one that I am aware of. It's comfortable. It's nice and rounded. It kind of feels like a big old chess piece or something. I love the sanding work done on here, or whatever method they use to keep this nice and smooth. It's nice and rounded, very organic lines to it. It's comfortable. It's kind of hard to mess up this design. It's very simple. You can hold this in pretty much any position. You'll be just fine. Really cool, just beautiful, simple. This is what they call the Virobloc locking mechanism, oftentimes referred to as the collar or the ring lock. It's manual. There's no springs. You have to manually lock it in place. You can do it either way, left or right, doesn't matter. It's a very, very simple design. It's just wrapped around the bolster. And once this blade is in place, it's pinned in there. So you cannot adjust it, as far as I know. The way it works, you can see at the very end of the locking mechanism, it's on a slope. It gradually keeps going up and up. So if you keep moving it to the point that it makes contact with the bottom of the blade, you can really pinch it in there and then lock it in place. Pretty strong, actually. There's no blade play. Actually, there's no side-to-side blade play either, or up and down. It feels very, very solid. However, if you were to really use this hard, eventually this would slowly start nudging out of place and eventually loosen up on you, I would imagine, if you were to use this hard. But because we just have a wood handle right here and it's so light, our blade is so thin, flat ground, you probably wouldn't be doing very hard work with this thing anyway. Medium, lighter duty tasks is what this guy is for. It's slow. We only have a nail nick right here. There's no thumb stud. You cannot open this up with one hand unless you're, I don't know, trained with it. I suppose you could learn how to, but we've got a nail nick here. There's no spring, there's no torsion bar, nothing locks this in place. It's completely manual locking mechanism. You have to twist it in place like that, and there you go, you're ready. It is pretty strong for what it is, but there's no torsion or anything keeping it in place. So if you were to use this hard, again, it will slowly start to disengage on you. That's just how it goes. But you can continue to keep this nice and tight, regardless of how much you use it over time, because again, this slope that it's on, it kind of compensates for wear over time. We also have this little cutout down here in the Virobloc lock, which is, if we twist it in place like that, now it is obstructing the blade, so you cannot open it. Not that this opens very easily, but you have just a little safety mechanism right there. It's kind of a why not thing. Nice little touch. Very simple, very beautiful. I love it. This is probably my favorite size. I just like going a little bit of the extra mile, having just a little bit more extra reach. But the funny thing is, I cannot legally carry this. Currently, the law where I'm at, I believe, is if the blade is above 3.5 inches or at least 3.5 inches, whatever, you have to open carry it. I cannot open carry this because there's no pocket clip, so I would have to put this in my pocket and it would be concealed carry. So this would be illegal to carry unless I could somehow figure out a way to make it open carry. That is so funny. It's so slow. You have to open it with two hands. The locking mechanism does not automatically lock into place. You also have to manually lock it. And on top of that, it's a weak knife overall because of its wooden handle, the blade. Even though it is strong enough for what it's trying to be compared to everything else we have out there, even for the $20 range, it's kind of subpar. Basically all other knives out there, even in that price range, we can flick open with one hand very easily. Oftentimes we get ball bearing tracks too. We have a self-actuating locking mechanism. Even if it's just a liner lock, that's still good enough. We get a pocket clip. We get arguably a better blade steel. And then we get something more textured, something with a harder handle material, a synthetic that won't crack or wear as easily as wood will. Although this is nice looking still, and it still works just fine. Synthetics obviously are just going to be stronger than pretty much any wood I can think of. But that being said, objectively speaking, we do have one advantage with this knife, and that's the fact that it's so light. So this could make a very good backup backpacking blade. Something that you don't have on you at the ready all the time, but something that you don't even know you have on you, but you have all this extra cutting edge with you at all times. Just backup blade. So featherweight light, it's hard to beat. For the strength we are getting here in this blade steel, these ergonomics, strong enough when you have it in the open position. It's hard to beat for the weight. And again, it's not very expensive either, less than 20 bucks. Totally worth it. If you want just a traditional style knife, something historical, this is a really good one to have. If you just want a backup blade that's super lightweight, that you'll forget is on you, this also could be one to have. But make sure your legalities in your area will allow you to carry it. Not that I think you'd get in trouble for carrying this knife, but you know how legalities and technicalities are. It's just how it is. Really, really cool knife. I absolutely love the Opinels. They certainly are a huge part of knife history. If you're into knives at all, you have any kind of collection, I suggest getting at least one of these. You got to try at least one. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe, hit that little bell notification if you do not want to miss weekly knife and gun videos, and feel free to support me on Patreon, link in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Mannix out.